Hello, my name is Casey Clayton. I'm the Cloud Real-Time Product Specialist with Informatica Cloud, and I'd like to welcome you to the WineForce demo of Real-Time Cloud Application Integration. We're going to start this demo in the center and ask, what does it mean for an organization to have a system in the center? From the end user's perspective, it means they have only one place to go to access all the data required to fulfill their role in a business process. A step back to see the full picture often reveals the center is slightly adrift in an ever-changing sea of business applications, databases, and APIs, each a potential data owner or system of record for critical pieces of customer or product information. The Informatica Cloud iPaaS gives customers a code-free way to implement real-time application integration in these environments. Powerful tools and a simple interface allow a variety of users to design process-oriented orchestrations for business events and enable real-time access to all on-premise or cloud-based data sources. So some of what you'll see in this demonstration we'll be using a process guide in Salesforce to lead a user through a business process, in this case the sales call process for WineForce. Ability to view and modify data across multiple Salesforce orgs. In this particular circumstance, the customer service team is actually in a separate Salesforce instance and will be accessing the cases from their instance because they're not stored in the same instance sales is using. We're going to see two-way real-time integration from Salesforce to a cloud ERP, in this case Netsuite. This will include getting account balance as well as creating sales orders and doing fulfillment and even initiating bill actions from inside of Salesforce and having them take effect in Netsuite. We're going to be able to show the use of read and write interactions with tables in an application database. In this case, it's going to be a Microsoft Azure database, but this works for Oracle or MySQL or SQL Server, any JDBC capable database we can connect read-write to without Lightning Connect. The use of outbound messaging to initiate data orchestration, so you can do tasks like customer onboarding or employee onboarding, automatically fire off web service calls or database writes and reads in response to an action in any application. And finally, the use of inline API calls to a wide variety of REST and SOAP web services. The ability to validate contact email and phone number at the point of entry. You can provide address standardization and geocoding and let the user make selections. Enrich new and existing records with outside data. You can send text messages to customers and employees. You can also make phone calls with telephony APIs. Check sales tasks and shipping costs. The point is, any API out there, you're much more open to be able to experiment with potentially useful APIs if it's a lot easier to implement the connection, and the code-free connectors provided by Informatica Cloud Real-Time are a way to do just that. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with the demo now. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start this demo inside of Salesforce.com, representing the day in the life of a certain Mr. Ron Burgundy, call center sales rep here at WineForce, whose entire job is to reach out to customers that have been part of WineForce or their parent company for some time, attempt to sell them some wine, and also at the same time offer the ability to resolve customer service issues, address any kind of billing problems, as well as update and validate contact information, all within the context of a guide, all in one easy to follow process. So in this particular case, we're going to start this sales process off as any good sales process should from a contact record with inside of Salesforce. So we're going to go into our accounts and take a look at the catering accounts that we have and see we've got the Honan Catering group here that we've been working with or potentially wanted to reach out to. We'll just go ahead and scroll down. This is a standard Salesforce page layout. We're going to go out to the contact page here, and we're going to be able to see some things that are actually specific to taking actions with these contacts. So you can see here on the contact page, we've got this option to sell wine to contact. That's a button there. Seems pretty straightforward. Not a lot of training involved there. You can also see if we scroll down the page, we've got a little section entitled Real-Time Guides. And this is actually where several different process guides that we've created, not just this WineForce Start Sales Call guide, but also guides for other particular product sales processes, and also quick guides to validate contact details or send an SMS message. And you can actually embed these guides within larger processes, so you'll see the validate contact details and And the SMS guides actually get called inside this guide that we're going to run today, called Wineforce Start Sales Call. So we can run it from that big button at the top, Sell Wine to Contact, or within the context of that guide. These also work on Salesforce One as publisher actions. So we'll just keep it within inside the page here. We're going to do all of our work within inside the context of this page layout. So we're going to start the activity log. The practice for our company is to create a task so that they can judge productivity and the amount of calls you're making. That's happened automatically behind the scenes. Gives us a little heads up about what we're going to do. It says, using this guide, you will create a Salesforce opportunity related to the contact, view customer service cases, get account balance from our financial system, and add products using a current price list pulled from our database in real time. There's a little bit of information about you're about to make a call to Clive Bierman, who is the procurement manager. There's a title from the contact with the Honan Catering Group, the account name there. Some details about the call prep buttons that are actually available here. You could go and take a look and get a real-time view of various NetSuite transactions like sales orders, payments, and invoices. You can take a look in the other org of Salesforce, because our particular customer service team actually doesn't work in our Salesforce org. I can show you here on the account under a Honan Catering Group that we don't actually have any cases here, but we'll be able to see actually in the context of this process how we can access cases in another org, take a look at the current price list. But all this page wants from us is to select the activity log, because there may be a number of fields, but really all we need to identify in this case is first call, so that's the only thing that we're going to ask. All the rest has been set by default behind the scenes. Now it takes us to a little scripting page. These can be easily created and modified. You can actually push changes to these guides and processes into production without Salesforce release. All the metadata is stored in Informatica Cloud, and the guides displayed in that space are controlled by a Visualforce widget that speaks to Informatica, so you can actually have access to publish new guides or update ones that you have without doing an entire Salesforce metadata release, because there's actually no connection, and you can dynamically show and hide the guides without new record types and profiles. But here's our little script. It gives us a couple of very simple options here. You could have this page call an API that could make a phone call, or other services as well if you were automating that piece. Now we're going to quickly create a new opportunity, and as you'll notice, compared to a standard Salesforce opportunity page that looks like this and has a number of things that perhaps you need to be trained to ignore on a regular basis, what you can do using our process guides and our UI builder, which you see a little bit of here, inside the actual Informatica Cloud Guide Designer, you've got the ability to look at these various events and actually build the UI around them as they create objects, create opportunities, and you take the chance to get user input. So this is some of how the builder actually occurs, and you'll see here in a moment that we're going to make a web service call out to NetSuite and actually display the information on the screen to a user and then take action based on a certain criteria of an overdue balance. So, but back to a day in the life as Ron Burgundy. We're going to come in here and we're going to see that this name has automatically been populated. The forecast category has been automatically populated. Now these values are actually coming from your Salesforce metadata configuration. This is the exact set of pick list values for forecast category as specified for this record type of opportunity. And you can use those by default. We do give you the option to further filter them so that in a case like this where closed won and closed lost would be valid stages for this opportunity, they're just not valid now. So you're actually giving the business the power to quickly put together these pages that can actually be process specific rather than profile specific. All right, so we've created that opportunity, and now we've moved on to be able to review the open customer service cases. And as I showed you earlier, these cases do not exist inside of our customer service org. We're actually reaching out in real time to another Salesforce org and bringing back a list of cases associated with the account that has the same name as a Honan Catering Group in their system. And what we'll do here is not only can we look and see what's there, we can actually interact with these cases and take part in the customer service process, but in a more automated fashion rather than needing to know exactly how their system works or to have to log into their Salesforce and find the case to escalate it. We can reach out, update values such as case type, and also we can perform escalation procedures. They can even do chatter, email, task, all behind the scenes. We'll just say, please help as our reason for escalation, good as one as any, and we'll go ahead and hit continue. Now behind the scenes, in the other org, this case has been updated and all the processes and best practices that they've established have been followed. Our sales rep is able to move on and hasn't had to leave the screen. But now he's looking at an alert, something about reviewing current financial information. The financial details below were retrieved from our Netsuite system in real time. You've been alerted because finance will cancel the order if customer overdue balance is greater than $1,000. This guide is allowing you to take action. So, at this moment in time, since we're on the phone with the customer, we could actually take this chance to maybe view the Netsuite transactions, maybe take a look at the payments that have come in. So we can go ahead and take a look at payments here. It's going to reach out in real time to Netsuite and bring back the latest information so there's no lag between data getting synchronized. So you can see we've seen 2 payments here that have come in. So now that we've discussed that a little bit, let's go back to where we were in our process. And it actually takes us to the page where we can address this overdue balance issue. It gives us a little script to read. It says, our billing system tells me your account has a current balance of $2,161.20 that is currently 220 days overdue. Because this could impact the timely delivery of your order, I'd like to get this resolved for you. May I get the name of a contact in your finance or accounts payable department that I can follow up with after our call? So we're on the phone with this customer. We need to create a task to follow up with the accounts payable contact. We can go take a look and see if the right person's on the list of contacts. So we've actually brought the list of contacts here, so we can take a look at it in this handy fashion. We say, well, we've got Donald Trump as a CFO, and Clive, who we're speaking to, our procurement manager, basically lets us know that Donald's no longer with the company and that we actually need to reach out to another person. And so we can actually do a new contact right here in line. We don't have to leave this page, leave the process we're working on, go back to the account, add a contact. We can actually add a contact here and have them validated, email, phone, and address. All this gets handled in real time. So this is the highly notable John Doe as their new accounts payable manager. So we're just going to enter the name here to get started. We've got these options. The contact was not on the list, so we're going to add a new one. And so it takes us to that little guide that allows us to enter and validate the contact details. Because this is a new contact, it automatically populated the mailing, street, city, and zip from the billing account for us. We've got a chance to get the title. We're on the phone with the customer, so she can give us some of this information. This would be accounts payable. We'll go ahead and put in business phone and mobile phone, and I'm going to go just make a slight mistake here on the business phone. I'm going to go ahead and mistype my first digit. I'll put in a mobile phone here, and then I've got an email, but I'm going to go ahead and fat finger this email as well, just to make sure that we can protect our system from bad information. Even in the best of intentions, when we're on the phone with the customer or have the best chance to get the information, additional validation at point of entry can always lead to better data. I mean, better data leads to better marketing campaigns, better response rates, and better chances of getting paid and communicate with your customers as needed. So you can see that both of these failed in the circumstances, the email validation and the phone validation. Now we actually made real-time web service calls off to Informatica Data as a Service APIs, RESTful APIs, to get the information. We got the response back, and now we've actually displaying the results on the screen to the end user using that codeless designer that you saw earlier. So we're going to go ahead and just see, we saw obviously what was wrong there. We'll remove the extra M. Now you can see that that's become okay, but this one's still bad. Okay, so I see the problem here. We're going to go ahead and update the phone number as well. Should allow us to proceed if both of those pass validation. Now we actually have some address standardization, in this case using the Informatica Address Doctor Data as a Service option. But any REST or SOAP API can be called in the context of this process, and you can see that here because after we get the standardized address, we reach out and we call Google Maps to get some geocoding information and display a map there. So it's a combination of calls to APIs in multiple different systems that are unrelated, bringing all that information together on one screen for your user. So we're going to go ahead and use that standardized address. It'll update this newly created contact. We can see now John Doe, the accounts payables, on our list of contacts. if we go ahead and go to create the task now, because the contact's on the list, we want to move on with selling. We'll call Mr. John Doe later. We'll just select him as the person that the task is related to. All this is automatically populated. All the rest of the fields on the task are being handled, so we can go ahead and proceed with that follow-up with John Doe once we finish talking to Rose or Clive here and selling some wine. So now this actually brings us to the opportunity portion, where we're going to add some opportunity products and show you some of the information that we actually have available to us that is in a combination of things that are in NetSuite, because we have the inventory items option, but we also actually in this circumstance maintain pricing and some inventory information in an application database, because it needs the inventory to calculate pricing. And so this is stored in an Azure database that we'll show you in just a moment. It's combining these two pieces of information from two different sources, displaying it to a user, and using that information to create opportunity products, which will eventually create a NetSuite sales order, is exactly what you're seeing here. So let's just take a look at the database to prove what I'm talking about. In this case, I'm going to go into Azure. So here's my Microsoft Azure database. It's a SQL Server in the cloud, but this will work just as well for MySQL or Oracle databases. You can see all my different tables here. So I've got this current products table that I could dive into, and you see it's got some fields here about current price. See some of the data. So these are the different products that we're actually getting back, and you can see it has some kind of key into get to the NetSuite information. We also have this concept of product reservations. This is a table where you can add records to it whenever you need to. You've ordered some wine, and you want to make sure it doesn't get sold out from under you before you get the paperwork in and the sales order over. So there's functionality for that. So these are actual database tables. I'm going to leave this open, and we can go back to our real-time inventory and pricing. Now we're going to come in here, and we're going to select some wines to go ahead and place on the opportunity. Now, in this circumstance, our person's perhaps looking for some Zinfandels. You can see we got 72 on the list, but it's only showing the first 10. We can easily filter those results from the entire set in space here, so we can say, all right, the Zinfandels, the Sinzin 2003 she's interested in. She wants to go ahead and get a whole case of wine, 12 bottles. And so you'll see that it's going to add it to the opportunity, but in the process, it's also going to create that record on the inventory reservation table. So you can see product inventory reservation has been created for 12 bottles. And let's just go and check our product reservation table there. And we should have that additional row. Yep, there's the 12 bottles of the INV 226, INV 226. So we've actually altered the database in the course of this process. Users still not have to leave the screen to get these things done. We're going to review the opportunity briefly to actually see that we've added this one product. You can see the total amount. If I wanted to go and confirm that the quantity reserve has changed, I can. We'll go ahead and add one more type of wine to this list just to make it a little bit more interesting. So we'll do a half case of the Borealis 2002. We'll go ahead and add the selected product. It'll follow the same process, just iterating through every time we hit add selected product, creating those reservations, adding it to the opportunity, and then giving you a chance to review what you have with the customer. So now we've gotten this far, the customer's happy with the order, we're going to complete opportunity entry. This gives us a quick chance to send a friendly SMS message to the customer thanking them for their order. We can personalize the body of it if we like. They'll actually receive another SMS when the order gets fulfilled has their tracking number. That happens with an outbound message that we can show you. But I'm going to go ahead and send this SMS message here to thank Clive for his patronage and his order. So that's it. We've created an opportunity now. We just got to call and see about that, getting that payment in so the order doesn't get canceled, and get the signed paperwork over, and then we can submit our sales order for fulfillment. So let's take a look at the opportunity that we've created. So you can see here we're at the opportunity. It's at the qualification stage that we selected. It's got an amount here. If I scroll down, you can see the two products. That's exactly what I was looking for, the Borealis and the Sinzin. The quantity is correct. Excellent. So once we've got everything processed and handled, we can actually move it to the next phase and go ahead and close the opportunity. Now you can do that in a couple ways. there's outbound messaging. You can do it based on a Salesforce workflow and an event. If you change this stage to closed won, behind the scenes a process will be called that will actually grab the opportunity and opportunity product information and create a sales order in NetSuite over their SOAP API. You don't have to use the guides like you saw before to make these API interactions. You can do them behind the scenes using the Salesforce UI, and we'll show you some more of that in a little bit. But you can also execute these guides here, and because these guides are actually aware of where this process is, or where this opportunity is, it shows these two guides to us. It's still in qualification, so we can add products to opportunity, or we can go ahead and close the opportunity and submit the order. So we're going to do that now to see how this order actually makes it over to NetSuite, the ERP, and so the two-way synchronization that comes into play between those systems. So we're going to fill in a PO. One nice thing about guides, is it does allow you to collect information that might have been forgotten at a certain point or is only necessary at this point in the process. So we're going to go ahead and put their customer PO as 23456. We're going to hit continue, and because we're using these guides, it's actually going to wait for a positive confirmation from NetSuite, give you basically a confirmation number that the sales order has been created. The outbound message works just fine. You just need to refresh the screen in a few moments to actually see the information. But at least in this case, it gets positive confirmation that all of your particular fulfillment items have made it over to the NetSuite side. So there's our confirmation. Great. Now we should see some of these fields on the opportunity get filled in when we go ahead and hit done here. Refreshes the page. You can see we now have the NetSuite ID, a NetSuite transaction ID, and we also got the NetSuite status here of pending fulfillment. And let's go ahead and take a look. Now the point of a lot of this would be that your end users wouldn't have to go into NetSuite. They could actually stay in Salesforce to do the entirety of their job instead of most of their job, and then piece of it that requires them to log into another system, perform an action, and then come back and tell Salesforce they perform that action. Eliminate that kind of activity with not just updating and adding records as you might do with other integrations. You can actually execute transactions with this system, things like fulfill sales order. But I want to show you the order in NetSuite real quick just to make sure that you can see what we've actually created. It's actually real and actually aligns with the opportunity that we put together. So there's our sales order. You can see the customer PO there. We got 23456 as we entered. If I scroll down and look at the items, there's my 6 bottles of the Borealis and the 12 bottles of the Sinzin 2003. So everything looks excellent. It's in a pending fulfillment state. Coming back to take a look in Salesforce, I can show you that yes, this agrees, we're in pending fulfillment. But let's say that there was a mistake. It's not just at the time that you create it this information goes across. Using outbound messages and event scripting on either side to make a web service call out actually allows you to use the standard interfaces but keep everything completely in sync. So let's say we mistyped the customer PO, and before they fulfill it, we want to make sure this is correct. So we're going to add the 1 into 123456. We're going to go ahead and hit save. There we go. Just hit edit, and let's add 123456. And so now behind the scenes, that's going to trigger an outbound message, which is going to call Informatica Cloud real-time and a process that we've designed that actually will reach out to NetSuite and update it with that information. And I can show you a little bit of that here inside of Informatica Cloud by using our process monitor. You'll actually see a process being called by going and looking in the Service Process Console. Service and Process Console gives you the ability to view active processes that have just executed or are still running. So you'll be able to see that we've got this outbound message opportunity sync that was created based on the outbound message, and that if we go into outbound message opportunity sync, it checked to see if there was a NetSuite ID, it checked the stage, and based on the stage it decided to update the existing NetSuite order because there was already a NetSuite ID on the opportunity. And you could take a look and follow the entire execution of these processes, including what you wanted done in a way that resembles the designer. You can build up all the information, follow it all the way through until the sales order gets updated, see the information that gets passed. And so now that I have actually seen that this process executes. It's probably happened some time ago, but we can go back into NetSuite and see that our sales order number, or rather our purchase order number now is 123456. So that's great. We're able to synchronize these things outside of guides using outbound messages. You can do a similar process back the other direction from NetSuite using scriptlets. These fire off on user events, and actually can be configured to call a generic endpoint in Informatica Cloud that will actually handle all the business logic of figuring out what to do with the event. In this case, we're just going to make it simple. Somebody in NetSuite updates the particular class field on the sales order, hits save, and we'd like to just see that get reflected back in Salesforce to show that we kind of have this two-way flow between the systems. Great. So now if we hop over into Salesforce again, here is our opportunity. There's the NetSuite class. If I go ahead and hit refresh, you can see that the corporate sales was populated, and of course our process console would have some more executions, some kind of, there's a process called update from NetSuite. So you can see these things are actually happening behind the scenes. Now if we come back to our opportunity, see that that's filled in. There's one more piece of the puzzle that we wanted to show you, and that's the ability to execute these fulfill actions from inside of Salesforce. You can see the sales orders pending fulfillment. There's this fulfill button here, but we can actually do our work somewhere else, and through either a guide or once again an outbound message, execute this action. We're going to fulfill this sales order from Salesforce inside of NetSuite. Going to go ahead and hit continue. I mean, we've performed the task that we wanted to perform. You'll notice that at that stage in the process, the only guide that was available on that page was the fulfill sales order guide. All the other ones that were not relevant had disappeared, and you'll see that change again. So now the fulfill action is complete. We're going to get some extra treats here. We're going to see the ship date and tracking number get filled in. At this point, this information comes in from NetSuite as soon as it's available. So we've got the ship date, tracking number, a new status. If we come over to this side, we can see obviously that the status has changed. It's now pending billing. This agrees that it's pending billing. And that's actually the end of our demonstration. We can have the billing team come in and close out the order. You notice that only billing guide is available at this point. We can go back to the account and take a look at some of the other guides that we have available to us here in place here. We've got this section hidden, but you can add and validate contacts. You can clean up records. You can use that same view NetSuite transactions guide that we saw within the context of that larger process. Any number of mixes and matches of these guides can happen using Informatica Cloud real time. Access to APIs and databases made easy and made available to end users inside of Salesforce. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this demo.